The ballot set for November. We'll take a look at the winners and losers in the primary runoff. Plus, we have Capital Metro CEO Randy Clark here to talk about the big changes in bus routes coming up on Sunday. Capital Coffee Talk is next.
They need to be held accountable.
Hey everybody, I'm Judy Maggio with KLR Use Decibel.
I'm Ben Philpott, KUT. I never get this TV stuff right.
You'll get it someday. I mean,
Eventually.
we've only been doing this for what, a year?
A little over a year, yeah.
Welcome to Capital Coffee Talk. We actually have our own mugs now. KLRU, Decibel, and
We've had these for a while.
You've had, but we just got these. And our special guest, Randy Clark, the CEO of Capital Metro, has also got a Decibel mug. We'll be meeting him in just a minute.
Well, fine.
But first, what we usually talk about on Capital Coffee Talk is politics. I want to do a quick wrap-up of the big election. Actually, I'm not going to call it big because the turnout was dismal. But we had the runoff election on May 22nd, and we want to talk about some of the races that are shaping up for the midterm elections in November.
Yeah, I guess let's hit locally. We've got House District 46. We finally know who
Cheryl
the Democrat
Cole
is out of there. Cheryl Cole, former Mayor Pro Tem. She's going to be running against a Republican and a Libertarian whose names I apologize, I can't remember at the moment.
But she probably
but
is
like
a shoo-in.
It's an 80% or 70% Democratic district. That's, you know, we could do a whole episode on gerrymandering. That's just kind of the way it goes in Texas. The primaries are the races that actually matter. We've got maybe a couple. We used to only have one swing district in Texas in terms of congressional races. Yeah. One district where it's a toss-up.
But there's 2 or 3, right?
There's like maybe 5.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see.
Well, that's what I want to talk about because I know that there's, you know, is Texas going to play a role, I suppose is the question, in turning the House possibly back to the Democrats, the U.S. House?
I mean, I think the way the Democrats view it, any win that they get is a step towards that. You know, the big state is Pennsylvania because of a state Supreme Court ruling, or wait a minute, federal. No, I forget now. A court ruling. Because of a court ruling, they had to redraw multiple districts with like 7 or 8 of them now swinging, now assumed to have a higher proportion of Democrats in that district. So, you know, I think they needed like 23 or something like that to flip the House. They're going to get possibly get like 7 or 8 right there in Pennsylvania, which will be a big first step. But yeah, they've got one in Dallas, one in Houston.
That's the District 7 in Houston that everybody's been talking about.
One in the Valley, and then there's
Ortiz.
There's been Will Hurd.
Will Hurd.
Yeah, and then some that that are kind of aspirational for Democrats, like the Lamar Smith district, which is going to be Chip Roy versus Copser. And a Libertarian candidate.
What about District 31? That's the M.J. Hagar, John Carter district. I mean, I know Carter's an entrenched Republican.
Yeah.
Is Williamson County a possibility for a Democrat to win?
Well, I mean, Williamson County has been turning, more and more blue as Austin has kind of eaten its way into Williamson County. But it is not. It's some of the reasons that we think some of these other districts like the one in Dallas and Houston are in play is because even though the Republican incumbents won those seats in 2016, Hillary Clinton actually received more votes within that congressional district than President Trump. So there's the assumption, but there are Democrats out there, or maybe people who have Trump backlash who would maybe not support a Republican incumbent this time around. And John Carter's seat, though, is not one of those districts. It certainly has, if you look over the last 20 years, I looked at this about a week ago, the margin of victory is shrinking in that district for him, but it's still pretty good. So we'll just have to see. I mean, she definitely has a higher profile than some of the past Democrats that have run against. I mean,
and she's a veteran.
She's a veteran.
War
she's
hero.
An author. She's been on book tours. She gets a lot of has gotten national media attention. So it could certainly be closer than before. But we'll just have to see if we have a wave or just a little kiddie pool here in Texas in terms
They'll
of
turn
the
purplish.
Maybe.
We'll see. We'll see. Or it may just stay red.
Right.
We want to talk about transportation today. And we've got a special guest, Randy Clark, who is the new CEO. She's been here about, almost 3 months, I think, of Capital Metro. We want to welcome Randy to town, first of all.
Great, thank you. Thank you for having me today.
So you're from the Northeast, so this summer is probably just eating your lunch.
I think I just realized what Texas summer's like in the last 48 hours.
And you're a runner, triathlete.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. So, got to start early in the day. So I'm
4 a.m.
Here means like 4 a.m. It's warm, but that's okay. It's we get the best air conditioning in town, I'd like to say.
I was just going to say, but those buses and metro liners are all
Perfect. It's like walking into a freezer. So we're there for you all summer.
Well, we wanted to bring you on because I know June 3rd, which I think is Sunday, a lot of new changes to the routes. So first of all, let's talk about that. Why make the big changes, and how are you getting the word out?
Sure. Well, it's called Cap Remap. It'll start, as you said, on Sunday, June 3rd. It's been basically, I'd say, a year and a half basically of work coming to this. It's happened in a couple other cities. Houston, probably the closest city to Austin's gone through this about a year and a half ago. And what it really does is it's a way to re-network your system. And what it acknowledges is a lot of changes happen in the community. And a bus system has kind of been set, 30, 40 years ago, and they make marginal changes over time. But in reality, most routes are still the same routes that have been in place for a long time. Well, I think Austin's a good example that development and population and where schools are and healthcare, et cetera, have changed pretty dramatically over the last 20, 30 years in Austin. And this is a reset. So the idea now with this reset is maybe we could do incremental changes a little more often, so we don't have to do such massive changes. And I think most of the industry around the country is going through that. So that's kind of what we've been really working towards, and we're really excited to go live on Sunday.
So how are you getting the word out? Because I know people this could be confusing, especially if people have taken the same routes forever.
Yeah, it is, and it is complicated. As we all know, it's really hard to get any message out there because everyone's bombarded with whether it's Twitter and the media, et cetera. But we have signage all over the system. We've done tons of community meetings. There's local community media engagements, working with everything from neighborhood associations, et cetera, on our community affairs team. We'll have over 900 ambassador shifts out on the street. It actually started last week. We have people on bicycles going between stops. We have courtesy van. If you're at one stop and you didn't realize, we'll get you to the other stop. So we're really heavily active. We have a whole command center and communications working that as well.
Everybody's working Sunday for sure.
On next week. Trust me, I'll be out in the system a lot, really, with a lot of people, and we expect partners like yourselves and others in the media to really help get the word out as well.
And you've got signs up on some of those stops that are going to be closed, right? I think I've seen a couple of
or where they're changing and different things like that. Yeah, heavy signage, heavily on social media. Obviously, you can get us on our website, all that kind of.
And I think there is. I think we're going to show the actual. It's capmetro.org/remap.
Yes, that's it exactly.
Okay.
And as a thank you to our customers, we know the changes can be hard. We like to think that this is going to be a very positive change for majority of people, like it has been in some of the other cities. We're offering free fares starting on Sunday for the week, and so the idea there is really get used to the new routes and the new system, and really make sure that the system's moving really well for you next week. We also think it's important that if we're going to be a credible organization to really collect data. And then, sometime probably by mid-fall, we'll have enough data to know that of the 54, 55 route changes, not everything's going to be perfect. And to do that, you have to be kind of analyze the data. We might have a few places that we have to tweak and make adjustments. Mm-hmm. And I think that's important that we acknowledge that as a good, transparent organization and make those changes. And but we do think for the majority, we're going to have 14 routes that now will go high frequency, which means service every 15 minutes or less. And that is a dramatic change, and how people could really adjust their lives on that scheduling.
So you think this is going to be like you come back in 6 months, and you just already know that in 6 months you may need to rework things?
Oh, sure. So you have service adjustments every year, but they're usually incredibly minor, like 0.5%. Mm-hmm. This one might be a 3 or 4%. So we're never going to get 100% right. We think there's a lot of analysis, a lot of modeling, a lot of work, a lot of community engagement went to this. But like everything in life, nothing's perfect. But I think, again, to be credible, you have to acknowledge when you're not right and make some adjustments. And I expect to be some tweaks here and there. I mean, that's just.
What do you feel is the biggest criticism of the new remap?
Well, I don't know so much criticism, and this happened in the other cities that did this as well. It's change. And an old mentor friend of mine used to say, Randy, there's 2 universal truths in life that everyone dislikes: change and the way things are. And there's a little truth to that across everywhere, right? And the reality is there's a lot of people that wish we could provide more frequent service to them today. Well, to do that, we have to change some of the routes because we have X amount of assets. We have 400 plus buses. To run those buses and that asset, which costs a lot of money, as effectively as possible, we have a lot of street networks in Austin that are not, because of the infrastructure has been developed, they're not exactly straight lines. And so it might take a long time to circumvent a neighborhood to do a pickup, where if we straighten out that route, instead of maybe a block away from someone, they now walk 3 blocks, but instead of every 45 minutes, that route is every 25 minutes, that kind of thing. And so it's kind of looking at, instead of a route as an individual, and how it's a network of routes, because a lot of people make transfers and connect through.
I know some disability groups have been very concerned about the route change. Have y'all been working a lot with them, trying to?
Definitely, yeah, and I think, and that was obviously a little bit before I got involved
Right.
too. And one of the functions there was paratransit service, and basically that's Metro Access. So how to guarantee the service if a route's changing, will the people that were in that area that had paratransit service still have access to it? And the decision was made to grandfather all those people in that have it, even if the line is changing a bit. But yeah, I'm heavily committed to work with anyone in the disability community to make sure that, to me, we're a public utility. We need to be run as a business-like fashion for the most effective use of taxpayers' funds, but we also are there to provide a public service.
Yeah.
And that kind of, we have to make sure those two ends of the pendulum work well together.
Well, as you know, a lot of the growth has been in the outlying areas, in the suburbs. What's being done to address making this more regional transportation issue?
Yeah, and I think that's a short and long term kind of put together. Austin is going through, I lived in Boston, I lived in DC, Seattle, San Francisco. Similar communities are going through, dramatic change. And a lot of wealth being generated in those communities. And what it's doing is, some people use the term gentrification, but forcing displacement of different groups. And unfortunately, from a transit point of view, some displacement leads to non-density. And that non-density is really hard for transit because you can't have a 40-foot bus with 2 people on it, because then that's not the right effective use.
It's not very cost effective.
Exactly. Meanwhile, though, some of the more high-rises downtown may really be normal or ideal for transit, but they may not be the people that you're totally trying to serve on the other end of the spectrum. And so I think a lot of places are going through that right now. So I think in the short term, this will actually help a lot of people. We even got a nice letter from the FTA, Federal Transit Administration, that kind of documented from a civil rights process that we'll have more service to minority and low-income groups based on this than our current system, which is a good positive. I think the longer term, though, is Austin trying to say to itself, what does Austin want to be with all of its values, and how we want to build a transportation infrastructure system that supports eventual even more growth, but more importantly, people that are here today, and how we all work together. And I think that's where we transition more from CAP Remap to Project Connect and kind of the future mobility.
And we're almost wrapped up, but we wanted to hear about the summer program CAP Metro is doing.
Sure. So we're called the Summer Fun Pilots, and I did kind of a listening tour right off the start, and some of the obvious things people talked about were things like help us with our students, students, whether it's going to pre-college courses or summer school or just meal programs that they got to get to, kind of again from this equity point of view.
Summer jobs.
First summer job, whatever. So we decided starting June 3rd through I think it's September 2nd, be free fares for kids that are in school, grades K through 12. And kind of what that does, it creates almost like a virtual family pass, right? So if you want to go somewhere with your kids, don't have to worry about them. They're free. Get on the bus or train and go. We're also going to do every weekend, so Friday and Saturday evening, our trains are going to run later. So on Friday till 1:30 a.m. And then on Saturday night, they're actually going to go to 2:30 a.m. I'll be long in bed, but
But that's great for people want to. This is a big live music place. If people want to go out and hear a band, lots of times it'll start till 11.
That's right. So not only is it good for that side, but it's also really good, important for the people that work at all these places, right? So people that work in food service or beverage service industries, hotels, those kind of things. So how do we do that? Vision Zero. How do we reduce distracted or drunk driving? Those types of things. And then lastly, we're doing. People want to get some more Saturday kind of service. So instead of starting at 4 p.m. on June 8th, July 6th, and August 3rd, we'll be starting at 10 a.m. and running an all-day rail service that day. And the idea is really to get families. How do maybe if you live up in say Lakeline or Crestview or in that area, and you want to go to the lake, is a good example for the day. Take the family, get on the train, go downtown, enjoy the whole day. So we want to kind of integrate those kind of programs for the summer.
Now, before we say goodbye, I understand you have your first pair of cowboy boots.
Tonight, if everything goes well, I'm picking up my new boots tonight. I'm excited. So, yeah, the staff.
Have you been to the Broken Spoke yet? Now you got to take your boots to go to the Broken Spoke.
I haven't been there yet, but that's the third. You may be the third person who told me I got to get there.
Yeah.
And I also heard that there's a place over in East Austin, the White Horse or
White
something.
Horse.
That
White Horse Saloon,
is
I think,
a similar kind of two-step thing. I gotta try out, but. Yeah, the staff was great. Just a great group of people over at Cap Metro. Gave me a gift card. My birthday was a couple of weeks ago, and said, "Hey, you got to get some cowboy boots if you're going to be here." So, I got a little.
They're not good to run in.
I
Okay.
assumed as much because
All
I
right.
needed when I went to try them on, you need a piece of wood to actually
Yes.
figure out how to put them on and off. So
Yeah.
when you have to buy a device to help you with the footwear, you know you're.
You know, it's not the
one.
one. It might be a little uncomfortable at first.
Yeah, yeah.
And have you found your favorite taco place yet?
So I guess So there's two places I just totally love. I mean, I've had a lot of good ones, but so Joe's is really good. They got but Veracruz has Amigas
Veracruz is
taco that I can't get enough of, and Taco Flats. Because I'm a
Taco Flats
vegetarian, has
they
this
do have a lot of
amazing
vegetarian
avocado.
The one on Burnett Road?
Well, they have a food
truck?
trailer over on
Okay.
5th and Pedernales, I
Okay.
think it might
All
be.
right.
Yeah, just incredible. So
Okay.
yeah, Austin's been great so far. I really love it.
All right. We're glad that you're enjoying all the Austin flavors, all the
Yeah.
many different things there are to do and
Yeah.
enjoy and soak in here,
Yeah.
even Barton Springs.
Yes.
And we'll be back next week talking politics, and we'll get you back on to talk about some of the regional plans maybe in the fall.
That would be great. Thanks again
Okay.
for having me.
Randy Clark, CEO of Cap Metro, thanks for joining us. And Ben and I'll be right back here next Tuesday at 12:30. So make it a great day and try to stay cool out there.
Good luck.
Good luck.